Happy Saturday, everyone. Welcome back to Gurl, Whet? And our episode today is Who Said You Can't Do Both? And I am the explosive Esther Jade.
And I'm Lo Main. And like Esther said, today's episode, we're going to be talking to mothers who are entrepreneurs and living their best lives while also, taking care of the babies. So with us today, we have Charity New and Molly McCay.
Yeah.
So thank you, ladies, so much for joining us. Before we get started, can we take a moment to have each of you introduce yourselves to our listeners and just let us know about you? Let us and them know whatever you'd like to know for them to know.
Sure. My name is Charity New. I am one of the co-owners of All Things New Sewing and Service. I'm also a mom, a wife. Being a mom is one of my absolute favorite joys in life. I do homeschool my kids.
Oh, bless you.
And
yes.
I love being in business also, though. And it's really a blessing to be able to do both.
Yeah.
And we're just having a blast both ways.
Awesome.
So it's amazing.
Okay. Hi, I'm Molly McCay, and I am a co-owner of All Things New Sewing and Service and the Master Tech at All Things New. And I am also a quilt artist going on about over a decade. I'm a mom of 4 boys. Yeah, so 2 are grown adults who don't behave that way. I love them very much. One's going to be 21 and this week.
Oh, wow.
And then 19 and 17. Yeah. and 12.
Awesome. So let me ask this first for you all. How long has All Things New and Sewing been in business?
The business, I officially, applied for my business license on May the 8th of 24.
Okay.
And before then had just kind of dabbled a bit here and there. But when I realized I was going to pass that $600 note that the government is fond of taxing and whatnot,
right.
I was like, this is actually a thing. And I need to make sure that I called my dad, actually, and I was like, this I think is really happening. And he was like, make sure you cover your bases.
Yeah.
And
they'll find you.
Oh, yeah. Because I wasn't even sure,
Yeah.
if it was going to be real or not. And then all of a sudden it was. And so from there, it's definitely been a journey. Started in my living room. I met Molly at a mutual friend's, like literally in their backyard. There were ferrets.
There was a lot going on
there
there.
was cardboard boxes moving and ferrets and Molly.
And Molly.
And the Lord just really moved in a really powerful way. In a lot of ways. Every moment has just been amazing.
Yeah.
And I'm very thankful, both just for his providence and in meeting Molly and how that has completely just changed my life. It changed the course of everything, and it has allowed me to meet people that I never imagined I would be able to meet.
Right.
And I just praise the Lord for it.
Amen. Quick question. If I'm not mistaken, did you all, because I remember, but I don't remember specifically, were both of you all at the National Day of Ice Cream when we met? Okay.
No, it was just Molly.
Okay.
Me and Lauren.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Yes, I was standing behind these 2 ladies, and I forget what I was saying. I was probably talking about something social justice.
It was. I forget what the whole thing was. The lady next to us had these like fingernails that were like nails. They were like a big thing, and they were super cute. And I was talking about how I could never wear them because I like have a job that I can't do that with.
Right.
So I'm always jealous of everybody's nails. And then you were talking something about
Mocha Moms.
And something that you guys were going to do that week. And I was like, tell me about Mocha Moms.
Yeah.
And then you asked me about my heritage, and I was
Yes.
like, oh yeah, well yeah, I guess I have heritage.
Yes.
Because I was like, I remembered you, but I didn't remember if it was charity. Okay, so now.
And
yes,
then it was charity because she had a business. The business was on the north side.
Right, I was going to say it was, because then it was near
Ruby Scoops.
Ruby Scoops where we
Well,
were.
I worked at
At the,
Scrap.
okay.
I worked at
Yeah,
Scrap.
that was before
Okay.
the
Okay.
accident.
That was before the accident.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, because I was like, I remember we'd had the conversation, and at that time we were talking about doing something, with the nonprofit.
Yeah.
Because, of course, at that time we hadn't
Well, she
started
said
to-
sewing, and I was just like,
Yeah.
I'm done. Right.
Because I
Just won
worked
me
for
over.
Scrap RVA up until that week.
Wow.
And that's why Lauren was like taking me to breakfast at Ruby Scoops, because that was like my last day at Scrap.
Oh, gotcha.
So I worked for Scrap RVA for like 5 years
Oh, wow.
as their tech. I really liked it, but I was really happy to leave when I did because we were ready to do something different.
Yeah.
And it was like it was that day or the day after that you had the accident, and you
Yeah, I remember
She had a
you
really bad
texting
car
me.
accident. Oh, wow.
Yeah, because that was kind of the start of it all. Like, as far as like the partnership and the actual like in store. And it's so funny that you were talking earlier about like just funny instances of motherhood intersecting with business ownership. Like a good friend of ours had brought her, because at the time I was doing maybe 4 or 6 machines a week out of my living room, and I have young kids.
Yeah.
And my daughter at the time was, she all of her like play kitchen stuff and her play food was there, and I was always very careful with clients' machines. But our friend had brought her machine, and I had serviced it. And she came, she picked it up with this great conversation, and the particular client, like, my kids, a lot of times I was answering the door, like,
Yeah.
with, my daughter on my hip. So it wasn't like people didn't realize, like,
Yeah.
there was a house with kids. But she picked up her machine, and she called me a couple of days later, and she sent me a picture, actually, and it was a little plastic turkey that my daughter had put, because she had brought her machine to me in an IKEA bag. And so my daughter had assumed, like, oh, it's a grocery bag, and she had
Put
put
it in
her
there.
little plastic
That's so
turkey.
cute.
And of course the client thought it was hilarious, and I was like, oh, I'm so glad that you think that's funny, because
Right,
I don't.
Ha ha.
Right? Like, oh,
it
yeah.
was like terrifying.
My goodness,
It was like she
integrity or
called,
something.
and so she'd had this really bad car accident, and
Yeah.
she had been working under me for about a year and a half, trying to learn how to really be a real service tech and
Right.
how to work
Yeah.
on sewing machines. And so she'd been working with me. She'd been teaching a couple classes with me, where she'd come in and teach a class with me so that she could learn how to service more and how to handle the classes that I teach.
Right.
And so we were kind of doing that kind of stuff. And she had this car accident right before Christmas.
Yeah,
2024.
Yeah.
Yeah, almost a year ago now.
Really needed to get to Chesterfield Town Center, and my car was, with my kids in it, was in the way. And so she broadsided us, drove us across 3 lanes of traffic.
Oh my gosh.
And my children, thankfully, were fine. And we're not 100% sure what happened, because there's about 30 seconds of it that I don't remember.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if my head hit the A-post, or if they think that perhaps when the side airbag deployed, that it may have glanced off my head, because if it had hit me in the head, it probably would have fractured my skull. But it was bad. And I remembered by the time I called you, I wasn't speaking normally.
No, and I told her to go back to the hospital. And so she went back to the hospital, and they found all this brain injury
like
stuff going on. So she called back like probably a week later and was like, there's 27 machines in the floor.
Yeah.
And I'm going to have to call these people and tell them I quit. And I was like, no.
Yeah.
So my husband had gotten about $12,000 in a settlement from hearing loss with the Army. Mm-hmm. And we had $12,000 sitting in the bank that day. And I'd gone to breakfast with a friend of ours, Donna, and we'd said, what are we going to do? And we had literally done all 27 machines with like a couple
I was gonna
of
say,
our.
you skipped like the part.
Yeah, like
You do, no, I gotta tell that. I gotta tell that part, because it just speaks to a testament of the kind of heart that Molly has. And I called her because my neurologist had said at that point, you're out for 8 weeks at least because your brain can't. Like I couldn't handle sunlight, I couldn't speak. It was a bad time. And I was like, I'm too new at this point to not go under. And I can't work, I can't do these machines and in good conscience. I can't not contact these people and let them know what's going on. So I had, and I don't remember who helped me call all of these people. I don't know if you had helped me or if somebody had helped me call these folks. But, but long story short, the people who did not come and get their machines that they were like, we're okay. She came with her truck and with Gracie, who works with us, and she picked up every single one of those machines and she took them to her house and they were done in 2 days.
Wow.
And it was just a breathtaking show of love. And it's not one that I feel like you see very commonly in people.
A blessing in disguise.
Is that what I sense between y'all every time I come to the shop?
Yeah, I seriously feel like she's like my
We're
little sister.
sisters.
I do. I just love the energy in your store and just how welcome you guys are, especially seeing your kids there.
Yep.
It's I love bringing my kids there. They love doing your classes. I thought my 16-year-old would not want to do it, but like he was
all about it.
Yes.
He was very proud of himself.
We got to bring MJ.
But we had that moment where we were like, this can't happen in the front room.
Yeah, exactly.
And it couldn't happen at my house. I have 4 dogs. My house is nuts. There's 9 cats, 4 dogs, and 4 kids. 2 ferrets. Possums. Jude calls them possums.
My son's like, possums.
Oh, and a turtle. But you can't do that. Plus, I live way out in Dinwiddie County, so it would be a real long drive for people to drive to drop their machines off. So we talked about where we could go, and we ended up like meeting with some friends for breakfast one day, and they were like, "Hey, call this dude that's like got this like, it was like a warehouse over on South Lake. And we were like, okay, we'll do that for a minute. Maybe we'll call him and see if maybe he wants to just bring fabric into our shop for that, if we can find a shop. But finding a place that was going to rent to somebody with like no history, because all we had was like, a year of history out of the house with maybe like $6,000 made total. Yeah. And by the time I bought into it, then we were just kind of like sitting there like, okay, what do we do with it? So we opened, I think we talked to him on a Thursday. We weren't really expecting much from him. We were kind of like, hey, how did you do this? What are you thinking? Blah, blah, blah. And he's like, hey, how about I take you over here and I'll give you half my building. Wow. And so, and it was just huge. Kind of a kismet thing. Like it was like definitely a God thing because it wasn't something that like somebody owed us for sure. Yeah. But it was somebody said, hey, talk to this person. And then we're talking to that person. And all of a sudden we have this spot. And the kids came to work with us for the first probably 2 months. It was hell.
It was a lot.
It was a lot. A 4-year-old and a 9-year-old, it was a lot. So, but we had to make choices pretty quickly on to find daycare for you. There you go.
Yeah, which we did. And things worked out wonderfully. And I mean, the cool thing is when you talk about the balance and can you have it all, when you think about, we were in a position where, and it's a lot of families, where, because at the time I was staying at home because that was, we had a choice to make when, my daughter was a couple of weeks old. And I made the choice to be a stay-at-home mom. But there's incredible sacrifices that come with that. Homeschooling your kids, there are incredible sacrifices that go into that, financially, time, otherwise. But you're making that decision because you love your kids. Yeah. But there's also that, hey, Mommy, can we have this? No. Yeah. And no is a wonderful word when it's coming from someone who loves you. Yeah, and I always tell my kids, like, it's better that you hear it from me so you learn how to handle it before you go out there and hear it from somebody that doesn't have the same thing. But
you're in a position where we don't have to say no very often.
Yeah, and that's one of the things, like, that's where it comes in.
We're set to make over $200,000 in our first year open.
Yes. And you guys are owners. You have autonomy over your life and where you go, and that I think that's really
nationally
important
published.
Kids. Yeah.
Like literally, like just 1. Like we were open for maybe 2 months when we were contacted by a nationally renowned quilt magazine to ask if they could make an article about us. It just is like one thing after another where people just really wanted to step up for us.
Okay, well, we're definitely excited to have y'all here, and we're definitely going to get more into the balancing, everything like that. But, again, we are excited y'all are here. Definitely going to be, delving in a lot more. So listeners, don't go anywhere. We'll be back.
Welcome back to Girl What podcast, and we're jumping right into love, baby, and other grown folks' business. Slow. What are we talking about today?
Hello, everyone. So for those of you that are just joining us, we are talking about, the balancing motherhood and, being entrepreneurs, everything like that. This episode is actually called Girl What? Who Said You Can't Do Both? And we have Charity New and Molly McCay with us today. And, right before we were talking about just how, just them and introducing themselves. They have a business called All Things New Sewing. So, they were just giving us the backstory behind that. But then one thing that Charity actually said that stood out, and it is perfect for jumping into this segment, what are some quick tips or hacks for parents that are juggling children, work, and self-care for themselves? No is a complete sentence. It's something that, everybody around you needs to be okay with. It's no, there's no need to explain yourself. There's no need to, if somebody says, but why? Because I said so. So, that was one thing that I actually had on my list of things where it's like, okay, what can I do to help balance? Like, everybody thinks you're supposed to keep going and keep going and keep going. It's like, no, we don't want to be burnt out. We want to prevent burnt out at all measures. So I'm going to give a couple of topics or so, like kind of key ideas. And then I want you ladies just to let me know how, if you do, and how you, kind of go with these topics. So there was one, I would say, delegate like a boss. So with delegating different things at home and work, can you give examples of how you both do those things?
I'll say the biggest delegation part for me in the last year, some of it definitely kind of dovetailed with work. And that was, as I mentioned earlier, I homeschool my kids. And my husband is incredible in so many ways. And one of the things that we talked about from the brain injury that I had, my neurologist said that it would be recommended for me to not do any of the homeschooling this year, to not take point, which was a role that I was doing alongside working before. And, my husband and I had a really long and actually very painful conversation about what that would actually look like in our home in the next coming year. My son had just an insurmountable amount of anxiety about going to even private school. And we just said, and that some of that had stemmed from the accident as well. And we said we just don't really feel like it would put him in a good place mentally to kind of, and families must do what is best for their families. If your child is in public school, if your child is in private school, and that's what's best for y'all's family, then praise the Lord for that. Right. If homeschool is great for you, then that's awesome too. But back for Jude, we just felt strongly that it would be a very negative impact for him to make that big change after everything that our family had been through in the last year. And so my husband was like, you know what? Give it all to me. And I will take point on it. And so the only thing that I do now with the school stuff are just the things that Chris can't really proctor, because I go to community days on Fridays. Gotcha. We attend Classical Conversations, which is a co-op in the area, and we love it, and it's wonderful. There's a part called Essentials in that because Chris doesn't go to community day, I do, that I do our essentials things with Jude. Gotcha. But he takes point on everything else. My husband does a lot of laundry, cleans a lot of dishes. Wow. He cannot boil water. God bless him.
He needs to learn to cook.
But that is okay, because the kids still get fed. He's doing all of these things. And it's just been a huge blessing to our family. But that, going back to delegation and having boundaries, if you have a spouse, it is so essential to figure out what roles you do want to take in the home and what that looks like with both parties working, because my husband works full time, you know, and it's amazing. I respect that in him as well. And so just, clearly defining your roles and doing your best to stick with them.
Well, I want to shout you out for being a homeschool family. I attempted it with my son, and we both hated it. It was absolutely not at all what either of us wanted. And he went to a co-op, too. So it's like, you're not even up under me all the time. But it's like, it was just one of those things where it was just like, oh, my gosh. And then I was working as well. So it's like, but now looking hindsight, like, I feel like we both may have rushed into it too quickly. So it's like, you definitely need to do extensive research. Like, don't just hop on the first train you see. Because it's like, I have friends that do, you know, homeschooling. And I'm like, y'all make it look so easy. And it's like, how? Like, what? Just what? Because, my attitude and my son's attitude, it was like...
It's not very fun. We did it with my oldest. He has, like, severe anxiety. So we did that with my oldest from 9th grade on. And I did a lot of research. So we didn't tie to one group or to one program. We had like 6 different programs. We were doing some Amish programming. We were doing some Mennonite stuff. And then we were doing some like secular stuff. And we worked with Richmond Homeschool Collective, which is like a secular group at the Unitarian Church. And we really, really liked that. But for me...
Yeah, your hacks and tips.
God, no. No. So there's my tip. No. No. My other 3 go to regular school, and I'll push them through that all the way through because there's stuff that Nolan missed from going to homeschool. So lots of stuff like, you know, my second oldest, whatever, third oldest, whatever. How many are there? Carson is like involved in the band. He went to DCI. Like he did like big league band stuff and like on tour and stuff, and it was like a whole thing. But he wouldn't have gotten to do that if he hadn't been like at a regular school. So just kind of that kind of stuff where you're like, you kind of balance that.
Oh yeah.
But my kids don't do laundry.
They need to.
I'm going to bury them in it.
So being a single mom and living with 2 kids or 2 broke roommates, I like to affectionately call them from time to time, I do a lot of delegating based upon like their skill level and things like that. So for instance, my son will be in charge of walking the dog and things like that. And like, for instance, for dinner, we all play a part. Most of the time I'll cook, but now actually my 16-year-old is learning to cook. And actually, he made a whole pasta dish, and he actually made the Italian sausage. And did the bread. He's like, because we do like whole loaves, and it's like usually like sourdough or sourdough Mary Jane, and he'll cut it up, put the butter on it and everything. And I've showed him how to kind of do it in steps. And it's so great to come home and like I could come and work on, it's like working on the podcast or doing something for Mocha Moms. And he'll just come over and, here's your dinner, Mom. I'm like, thank you, son. Right. And so at the end of dinner, both of my kids have roles. So my son will wipe off the table, and my daughter will either sweep, and she's very fond of vacuuming under the table. Awesome. So I really try to highlight community and getting them to understand that we all play a role in the community and that we want to cipher energy out of the community, but you can't cipher it from nothing. So you only get out of it what you put in. So I think that's been working pretty well.
Well, and pretty quickly on from like us beginning, my husband realized that there was like this kind of big rush on Saturday mornings. He works a full-time job for the government, and you saw that.
I feel like that too.
So he was doing that all the time, and he is working 5 days a week all the time, and then on Saturdays he comes and works for us for free.
Yeah.
And he runs the front and like picks up
really
machines and like talks to all the ladies and like has conversations with the dog, and he's great. And he cooks me dinner.
No.
Snaps to Patty. Snaps to Patty. Yes.
He doesn't teach homeschool, but he cooks me dinner. It's pretty great. It's pretty great. But awesome. Without a partner, I can tell you that we still would have, I would have figured it out. Mm-hmm. But we both have that really special partner.
Yeah, and I was about to say, it's funny that, both of you are married, and then Esther and I are both single mothers. So,
But she is your partner in so many ways.
no,
Sure.
for real. I think, okay, this is a quick
heard you.
side note, but I literally sent a text message to the group the other day because we have like our group chat, and I literally put in there, I'm like, I'm surprised people haven't assumed that we're partners yet.
Yeah.
I
Like,
wonder
because
sometimes.
because like literally with our nonprofit and just life in general, like we're always communicating, and it's like literally if you see one of us, more than likely you're going to see the other one. So I literally said that. I think it was like last week I may have said that, and it was like,
That's how we have a best friend named Julie, and Julie like literally saves our lives all the time. But she like they either assume that she's like my mother or like my wife. And I'm like, yeah, basically,
Like,
same.
right, like, whatever you want to assume, go ahead.
Yeah, but you have to have those like partners. You got to find the right
sure.
person
And,
to like help you.
Like, yeah, she's my person for sure.
Aww, that's so sweet.
I caught her off guard with that.
We'll be back with more. Stay tuned. Thank you for staying tuned to Girl What podcast. And we're headed right into the group chat got deep.
Yes. So again, we're here with Charity and Molly, both of All Things New Sewing. And, we've just been having, a definitely genuine conversation just about motherhood, being entrepreneurs, and how that balance is just, even with life as well, because we know life likes to life. So then just kind of continuing the conversation, as entrepreneurs, and I know you all mentioned earlier that, from your beginning, which was only a year, before a year, but technically like a year or so before, and you all are now deep in it and rocking and rolling. What are some tidbits that you would continue to give to those who may be in a motherhood position, or someone who is looking to have kids but also wants to be an entrepreneur as well?
I would say be the person you want your kids to see, not themselves necessarily being, but modeling a work ethic and a family dynamic, as well as, dependent on where you are in life, with your faith or spirituality, if you have that aspect, or even just how you relate to your community.
Right.
Not that they would necessarily completely emulate you, but that you would inspire them to go forth and pursue. Not necessarily, maybe even, my son often talks about wanting to be a dentist. That could lead to entrepreneurship, but in a lot of ways it might not.
Right.
And so how do I, as a mom, inspire him to have proper priorities, or how do I inspire him to understand that part of the reason why I do what I do as a mother is because of how deeply I love him.
Yeah.
My daughter, being a toddler, she's just thrilled to be in the room, Right.
Like
she's
But you can also buy him pants that fit.
I know,
Which is the whole thing. Because he insists on wearing size 8.
What about you, Molly? What advice do you give to moms who are looking to be entrepreneurs?
I don't know if I am qualified to give anybody advice on like becoming something great.
Maybe your instincts?
But I think it is like, I think you find the right people.
Yeah.
I think your community is a lot of what creates what your business will be. You cannot create a business off of no community.
That's right. True.
And we are so blessed to be in Richmond. RVA has literally shown up at our door. And the amount of people, creative, amazing artists, quilters, people that are making like these really cool like charity stuff, all of these people just show up at our door, and it wouldn't have happened without having the right people behind us.
Right.
So I think you start by being a genuine person And I think you start by seeing people as people, which we were talking about earlier.
That was
and
what I was going to say.
really seeing that person, because there's a lot of times where we walk into that room and maybe it's an open sew and people are just in there sewing. And there's a lot of times where we'll walk into that room and those people are just in the corner talking.
Right.
They just need that space to get to be themselves. So, and there's some really cool moments that we've had in the last almost year here where people have been able to make community out of our community.
Yeah. And Mocha Moms is one of those communities that have really, been blessed to be connected to you guys. You guys really showed up for that, our organization.
Yeah,
and
really right there at the beginning, too.
Yes. Yep. No, I mean, look, I'll say this. The universe aligned us together. And I think also I would like to add like intuition and trusting that. And that's what I'm hearing with your stories is that not only that you aligned with each other, but your intuition's connected.
Yeah, I think a lot of times Charity's heart talks to mine. And without that kind of soul sister relationship, and there may be a lot of times that we disagree about something politically, or we might disagree about something spiritually, or we might disagree about something even in our shop, but we can come together and look at each other and say, I still 100% firmly love you and 100% value what you are. And I think when you can do that with another person at a level where you're not ever feeling like you're being used by that person, it really makes your life a lot easier, especially when you're trying to put money on top of that. Yeah. So there you go.
Can you tell us about like where you want the future of all things sewing to go?
Oh my gosh. So what we're really working towards is trying to create a way for women to have a say in how your machines are repaired. Sewing is really women's work. Yeah. So when you get into that, most of the people that we work with are women. We do work with some guys, and we're really happy to have them. And we work with a lot of people that are non-binary, and we like that too. But and a lot of the people in the drag world, which is fun. But when we're getting into like what we want to be, I want to raise those people that want to be techs next. Yeah. And I want to raise the women first. So my main goal is always to make sure that we're making sure that we leave space enough in the backside of our shop to allow other women to come in and learn how to do the repairs. Yeah. How to encourage people that maybe can't afford to have their sewing machine repaired to come and learn that with us, because we teach that all the time. There's all sorts of things that I would like to see. We're a maker first shop. So if you bring your machine in and you're a maker and you're using your machine to make money, your machine goes up in the line for that day. So we make sure that your machine comes out first. Gotcha. Our goal is always to make sure that if this is something that you're making money off of, if it's something that you want to make money off of, and if it's something you want to learn, even if it's just so that you can calm your soul, because that hum of that sewing machine is a lot of common. But also, this soul right here is calm. Yeah.
She's talking about Charity.
So when you have that kind of person in your space that's up in your space all day long, and sometimes she forgets her drugs and her meds, and she's bouncing off the walls. But there is like an actual like universe of like your heart talks to that person's heart, and your soul is complete. And I can walk into that space and never feel like I'm like completely overwhelmed with the 75 sewing machines that are hanging on my door. We're okay. So I think that the goal is to eventually maybe expand a little bit. And maybe not. I mean, maybe the goal is just to make the next me.
Yeah.
Love it.
That's awesome. For real. Like, I was like, it's kind of left me speechless. But a lot of things that you were saying, Molly, it's funny because it's like, with Esther and I, it's definitely along the same wave. People laugh at us, or we'll we have a secret language. We can just look at each other and have a whole conversation, and then we might just burst out laughing or something, and everybody's looking why are they laughing? But we just had a whole conversation, or she always commends me for the amount of unbothered I am.
I strive to that. I do.
So, it's one of those things where something might be happening, and if it's something that we're both dealing with, even a lot of times when not, she'll call me I just need to vent, and she'll be and I'll just tell her just calm down, or she calls me sometimes I'll turn it to her mom and be hey, I don't want to see you responding anymore. Put your stuff down, go into D&D, go even if you want to chill by yourself, if you want to chill with the kids, do what you need to do. But this isn't what you need to be focusing on right now. And I think sometimes as moms, again, like I mentioned earlier, we can get so caught up in the whirlwind of everything that is expected of us, where we forget to give ourselves grace and give ourselves that time where we can woosah and we can, disconnect and allow ourselves to get whole again. Because it's a lot of people wait until it's too late, so to say.
Yeah.
And so it's just one of those things where it's hey, listen to your body when it's telling you what it needs to do, because if you don't listen to it, it'll make you.
Yeah.
And I mean, I've had instances where it's I was going, and it's oh, I'm hearing my body, and I'm feeling myself start to break down, but I'm still trying to go. Like I said, with me being a single mom, I'm a soccer mom, just we have practice, we have games, we have this and that and the third. So just trying to get everything done. And
maybe you miss a game. Is the world going to end if we miss a game?
Exactly.
Maybe I miss a deadline and somebody has to wait 2 more days for something.
For it, right.
Suck it, dude.
Yep.
I need the break.
Yeah,
but that's my thing, is if I need to take the day and instead of doing this or instead of, teaching a class, we do a lot of I really like teaching this class, but it's a waste of my day. So I'll swing it to somebody else. Mm-hmm. And when we can get to the point where I am so burnt out, today I just need to go in the corner and do what I used to do, which is make my art. And sometimes something gets put behind. So maybe he doesn't go to soccer today.
And saying that's okay.
So what I'm hearing is give yourself grace.
Plenty of it.
Yeah.
Lots of it.
Plenty of it.
Lots of it. And then give your kids actual expectations of maybe I need a break.
Yeah. And it's something, especially in our culture of being so driven, and I feel like this particularly pertains to this rising era of the expectations that are placed on women,
right,
that are wholly inappropriate. And this whole idea that you must be everything to everyone all the time, and you yourself are last.
Yep.
And this claim,
or never considered at all.
Or this when we the phrase I am enough, you hear it all the time, but I feel like it's weaponized in a way to women in some aspects and in some corners of saying you are enough to accomplish all the things everyone else wants to take from you. Yeah. And one of the reasons why we're so passionate about having a place that creates beauty, one of the things, I went through a terrible trauma in my life years ago, and my brother, he came to where I was, and I looked at him, and I was probably one of the most broken places I've ever been in my life, and I said, I just want to see something beautiful.
Yeah.
Because I just had nothing left. And he took me to the VMFA. And we looked at paintings, we looked at art, and it's a moment in my life that was very defining for me. And I hope that for the people who are thinking about creating art, whether you're watching YouTube videos or you saw something and it was a spark in your soul and in your mind and you thought, I could do that, maybe. I don't know how to, though. If it's painting, if it's paper quilling, if it's sewing, I would just encourage you, take that first step, because that pursuit of beauty is, in my faith, a reflection of our Creator. And that spark is in you, and it's beautiful.
Yeah.
And to pursue that when you talked about, give yourself grace or giving others grace, creating art and creating beauty is a natural part of life. And we're here as a place that am really, really passionate about educating folks about, my bent, my talents lie in sewing. And in, I really like to get in there and clean machines. But I want to teach you how to sew, not necessarily because it's just sewing, but because art of any form, I feel like, can be a gateway for you to learn more about who you are. And in turn, that helps others begin to see you. It helps you to see the beauty in yourself because you're letting something out of your soul that is incredible. But it also gives other people the ability to know you in a way that maybe perhaps wouldn't have been possible before.
And then just kind of also, branching off of what you just said, for us to be women, representation matters. Yep. So for those little girls or, for the little girls of any type like that are just oh yeah, I don't see many people doing what I do, or there's something that I want to do, even if it's not a lane that has been created. Create your own lane, because 9 times out of 10, if you're not doing it, there's somebody else who wants to do it, and they're probably having the same thoughts, oh, nobody else is doing it, I don't know how it'll be received. But that could be something that blossoms into a beautiful thing that everybody, as they hear about it, they're like, oh, me too, me too, me too. So it could become one of those things where it's it just takes one person to start something. Yeah. So, definitely beautiful words, definitely beautiful words. And we want to thank you ladies so much again for coming out. And just quickly, how can we reach you all?
We're at allthingsnewsewing.com, and you can find us on Instagram and Facebook at All Things New Sewing and Service. You can find us at, in person, 9830 Midlothian Turnpike, Unit A. It is the round little cute cottage
So cute.
in Governor Square that we're so excited in Bon Air. So we are really excited to be there. We just moved there in September, and it's been a big change for us to have a big girl space all to herself, and all us girls and Tinkerbell. So it's been really a great move for us. You can find us all those places. You'll find our calendar on our website at allthingsnewsewing.com, where you can learn how to sew. If you've never picked up a sewing machine, we have classes for that.
Yeah, we even have machines.
We even have machines.
Come sew with.
So we have open sews at least once or twice a month for real cheap, for about $10. You can borrow a sewing machine for that. Lots and lots and lots of different ways to get involved. And then we also do service. So if you have a sewing machine that's broken, you can bring it by and we can fix it.
Awesome, awesome. Well, thank you ladies so much. And to our listeners, we will be right back.
You're listening to Girl, What? On Culture Mix Radio, powered by K101.2 Pop Richmond.
Hey y'all, we are back, and we again want to thank Molly, McCay, and Charity New from All Things New and Sewing. And so we are going to give y'all the quick Dassit.
Yes. So thank you. So any advice that entrepreneurs have for listeners during these times for someone who wants to start a business? We talked about that. Those who feel any additional stresses of owning a business while dealing with other things. So we talked a lot here about balancing motherhood, any tips and tricks for that when you're also a business owner. And then we talked about all things new in sewing. And we really enjoyed this conversation, and we hope you did as well. And I think that's it. That's it.
Yeah. Y'all come back next week and join us. Stay connected to Girl What podcast by following us online. You can follow us on Instagram and YouTube at Girl What Podcast. That's GURLWHET PODCAST. We'd love to keep in touch with you. Come on, keep talking with us. That's what we do, right? So we have our, reflections. If you have any questions, comments, or you yourself want to reflect on anything you've heard us talk about, please don't be afraid to hit us up. Again, you can hit us up in our DMs on Instagram, or if you want to comment under one of our YouTube posts, you're more than welcome to do so. Again, both of those handles are Gurl Whet Podcast, GurlWhetPodcast.
And you also have the option to leave us a voice memo in our DMs or leave us a voice message at 804-476-0905. Again, that number is 804-476-0905. And with your permission, we may feature it in a future episode. Your voice helps us shape meaningful dialogue on Gurl Whet. So remember to stay in community. Remember to stay bold. And girl, keep talking.